Hey all, just a quick note before we start this episode. This episode was recorded back in April, so apologies for any references that are dated. So, on to the show. Hey and welcome back to Game Talk. I'm your host, Sam Mion. Today I'm joined by Connor.
Hey guys.
And Mike.
Hello.
And for the first time in, I think, years, we have a guest on the show, my very good friend, Ranga.
Nice to be with y'all.
I think that's the first time since like 2017.
It's been a long time.
It's the first time since we've gone remote.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. So I did that one Last of Us episode with my two other friends, but you guys never played that game, so you weren't on that episode. Yeah, and that was like in 2020.
Wait, there was a secret episode?
Yeah, I didn't know about this.
I definitely told you. Yeah, so
I don't think you invited us to it.
No, I told you guys. Okay, but anyways. But I think the reason we have Ranga with us here today, he is an avid, let's just say, Sonic enjoyer.
An apologist, even.
Much like yourself, Connor. And
I am not a Sonic
apologist. And don't
apologist.
deny it. Yes, you are.
I don't defend any of the bad games.
But I think, it is funny. I did go back through our episodes because I could have sworn we did a topic on Sonic like back in the day. And I think like back in the first year of the show,
we talked about Sonic Forces.
We talked about Sonic a little bit.
Sonic Forces and Sonic Mania were 2017. Yeah.
But it is now 2022, right? And I think it is apt to discuss Sonic again because Sonic, I think, has gone through a lengthy dark period, but it seems like Sonic is back and better than ever.
A renaissance, if you will.
Yeah, a Sonic renaissance. And that's perfectly encapsulated by just looking at, well, okay, I think the argument is that Sonic is strong everywhere but his games currently.
Okay, I was going to say, because Sonic Forces was still the most recent mainline Sonic game that wasn't a remake.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I'm just looking at, let's say, the Sonic movie, right? So Sonic 2 just came out, and it's doing unbelievable numbers at the box office, right? It's going to kick off the Sonic cinematic universe, God help us all.
But I don't think Sonic was ever doing poorly financially, though.
Yeah, that's the thing. People just sort of buy Sonic games. Doesn't really matter if they're good.
It's like Call of Duty. So yeah, you see Sonic, I buy Sonic.
Right. So Sonic does have that unshakable like core fan base that will support it no matter what happens. Like even it went through like the Sonic Forces and the Sonic Unleasheds of the world and the Sonic 06s. But yeah, I don't know. I just kind of wanted to talk about Sonic, the current state of Sonic, and maybe a little bit about the Renaissance. And I've told the story on the show multiple times about how Ranga got me into Sonic when I was young, by orally describing the plot of Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2 Battle to me on a soccer field while we were at soccer practice.
God,
why do you make that sound so weird?
That's a really.
It was pretty weird.
It was weird. It was weird. It was really weird.
Sonic Adventure 2 is one of the best stories ever told.
It's pretty excellent.
Okay, yeah. See, sure. But so so let's actually, you know what? Let's get into that a little bit. So I think the reason Sonic Adventure appealed to me so much is that to my young mind, it was basically just like a shonen anime.
See, Sonic Adventure doesn't appeal to me. Like, I played it as a kid because it was like, it felt like off-brand Sonic Adventure 2. Like, it was nowhere near as good, but I was like fiending for more.
Okay, so let me just be clear. When I said Sonic Adventure, I was encapsulating the two games. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little shonen anime. Yeah.
Sonic is extremely anime. Yeah.
I mean, it's got the Chaos Emeralds. Those are the Dragon Balls. It's got
Super Saiyan.
Yeah, Sonic's Goku, Tails is Krillin, Knuckles is Piccolo. The parallels are all there.
Sonic is Goku? Oh.
Because he goes Super Saiyan.
Yeah, he goes Super Saiyan.
So what is Shadow?
Vegeta.
Shadow is Vegeta.
I am interested. So when did the
Knuckles
first...
be Vegeta?
Nah, he's Piccolo. He was bad guy, now he's good guy. Piccolo.
Yeah. And
what is Eggman? What is Eggman in this situation?
The analogy only
Dr.
goes so
Gero,
far.
I guess.
Yeah, sure.
You can only take it so far. Maybe
okay, yeah, the analogy can only go so far, but my question is, when did Super Sonic first appear?
Sonic 2.
What year?
Sonic 2.
What year was that?
92, 93?
Okay, so that was after Dragon Ball. Mm-hmm. For sure, then.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I was just wanted to make sure. Maybe it was the other way around.
Yuji Naka has said that Dragon Ball Z directly inspired the supersonic transformation. So that is very much.
Yeah,
on
I mean, that
purpose.
makes sense. That makes sense. Like,
I mean, everything
has
about
to.
Sonic was made. They just copied the best. Like, it was a Mario competitor. It was inspired by,
the entire 1990s. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think weirdly enough, Sonic is, maybe this is controversial, but Sonic is like more marketable than Mario outside of video games.
For sure.
Because it's got like the colorful characters, they're all animals.
Sonic is a character. Mario is just the guy you play as in Mario games. Like, there's nothing to Mario.
Yeah, Mario's a Gary Stu. Sonic is objectively a lot cooler design-wise, I think.
Sonic is morally complex.
Okay, I don't know about that.
Yeah, Shadow maybe. But
Shadow's
Sonic,
not morally complex. What do you mean?
Sonic talks. Like, in the
Yeah,
games,
that's a big point
Sonic,
in his favor.
He has something to say. Like, and he also, like, is a role model to kids in some way. Like, Mario doesn't have any of that. Mario is just a guy who jumps.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Like, Mario doesn't really have a character, like, one way or the other. You just plug your controller into him and make him do what he wants.
Mario does what you do. Sonic has cutscenes in which, like, he talks.
Yeah.
He interacts with other characters.
And that's even true before the adventure games, like, if you're sitting there as Sonic in Sonic 1, like the 1991 original Sonic the Hedgehog release, and you don't move the controller, Sonic will stare at you, tap his foot, and be like, what's going on? Right? Like, Sonic has
the idle animations.
He'll also, I think, jump off the map if you let it sit.
Yeah, he will. Yeah, if you sit too long, he jumps. Yeah.
He just leaves.
Yeah, the idle animations can go a long way in instilling character, especially back in the day.
Sonic 3 had cutscenes, more or less. Like it opened with a cutscene, and Sonic 3 has more character in its opening cutscene, I would argue, than Mario has in any game, like, to modern day. Like, because Mario's just kind of there and things happen around him. Like, Sonic has agency and, like, interacts with Knuckles in Sonic 3.
Yes. Have any of you seen the Game Apologist YouTube channel?
Yeah, I watch all those. I love watching.
Yes.
That's why I said Sonic Apologist. I don't agree with most of what he says, but I do think it's really interesting to watch them.
It's a neat analysis. I also don't agree with everything he says, but...
So what does he say, just out of curiosity?
So he basically goes into, like, the narrative complexity of a lot of the classic Sonic games, and also tries to find the good in some of the bad ones, and the
idea is that he sees the good in bad games. He's an apologist. Like,
okay.
And I think he wears that on his sleeve and all. Like, he's not arguing that they're good games for the most part. But he does something very similar to what King K does, at varying levels of success. I think they know each other, actually.
Probably at this point, if they didn't before. But yeah, he basically looks for the redeeming qualities in something like Sonic and the Black Knight, which, makes me cringe just saying the name of it.
Yeah.
But then he has branched out a little bit. So, like, with the classic Sonic games, he does say that he is more a fan of classic Sonic than modern Sonic, as many people are. And he has, like, the unapologetic series for those. Where he just basically says, I don't have anything to apologize for. This is just a good game that I like and I want to talk about it. And then he gets into sort of the narrative complexity, and I think sometimes a little overboard with, like, the unspeakable brilliance of hypersonic and other such preposterous topics.
Oh, this guy.
This guy.
Oh, yeah, it's even... Yeah, he has one that is, like, the brilliance of Super Knuckles or something, and I was like, they don't.
I mean, he's got to be like memeing though, right? He's not taking himself.
No, he's absolutely taking it seriously.
It's pretty serious.
I do not doubt for a moment that this dude believes every word he says. Now, he's definitely putting hyperbole in the titles because that's how you get an audience. But, like, every word he says, I think he genuinely believes in the videos.
I agree,
and, like, he makes a good case for it. He's just wrong. Like,
He's just wrong.
No, Knuckles is super because Sonic was also super, and they needed to make the other characters super so that
they needed a reward
like
for getting the Chaos Emeralds. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of want to explore that extreme marketability of Sonic a little bit, because, like, even as a kid, I remember, like, Sonic was my favorite stuff ever, dude, right? And I had never even played the originals to begin with, right? I started with the adventure games. I started with the 3D stuff.
Or no, I started with Sonic Advance.
I also started with Sonic Advance. Wait, no, that's not true. I started at the orthodontist office. Because my orthodontist growing up as a child had a Sega Genesis, and there was a copy of Sonic 2 in there, and that was the only place that I knew where I could play Sonic 2. So, I mean, I don't think I ever messed with my braces to go back, but it's possible. And then from there, I got Sonic Advance and Sonic Adventure and middle, and here we are, and I've got some sort of Hedgehog rabies.
Yeah, I started with Sonic Advance, and well, I had played Sonic Adventure 2 before that, and I got at a friend's house, and I got Sonic Advance because of that, because I didn't have a GameCube yet. I do agree about the mass market appeal, though. Sonic has really good music with lyrics in it, and that, like, the butt rock, like, we make fun of it now, but at the time, that was extremely marketable.
And it's and it goes before the adventure games too, you know, like back in Sonic 3, Michael Jackson did the music for Sonic 3, which is a contested fact that isn't public, but it's pretty much like implied at this point, right? Because that's the reason there's no ports of Sonic 3 is because the Jackson estate is like suing Sega or whatever.
That's wild, man.
Because he's not credited because of the allegations.
Mm-hmm. He's not credited. Well, I think he did. It was before the allegations, wasn't it? I think it was like he didn't actually. He didn't. I heard it was something like he wasn't happy with his work and he didn't want to be credited and he was like ghostwriting the music or something.
Maybe that's
I think it was the allegations.
Oh, it could have been. It could have been.
Yeah, I'm reading up. It looks like it was allegedly the allegations.
Either way, what my point was, it doesn't matter. By Crush 40, specifically the version in Sonic Adventure 2. I don't care for the one in Sonic Adventure 1. It's still probably top 10 songs of all time for me.
Of all time.
Wow.
Yeah, I love that song.
It's pretty good.
It's so sappy, but it really puts me in a good mood every time I listen to it.
What?
And I don't even think it plays in the game. You have to go into sound test.
No, it does play in the game. It's the credits theme for Sonic's for the hero story, I think. And then sometimes it plays like you get a snippet of it when Sonic's on screen doing something cool.
Because I know it's mostly Live and Learn.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Which is also an absolute banger.
That one is a banger, and that is one that I have not forgotten.
Open Your Heart's pretty good
unforgettable.
Too. And the City Escape theme has been like taken over by the internet, and like it's gone to some weird places.
Dude, the cover of that in Sonic Generations slaps.
Oh yeah,
the original also slaps, but it was it's the best song in that game, like by a wide margin.
Yeah. So Sonic, the music is huge, right? And then compare it to Mario music, right? Think about Super Mario World, excuse me. Widely known as one of the, was that Super NES? Super Mario World?
I think it won best 2D Mario game when we did our bracket.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, one of the best Mario games of all time, right?
It didn't deserve it. It should have been Super Mario Bros. 3, but we don't have to have that conversation right now.
But it has what? 3 songs?
No, it's got more than 3 songs.
I don't know. I think there's like the underwater song, and then there's like the up in the mountain song, and there's a plain song.
It's got the Forest of Illusion song. It's got I think the bridge levels had a song. It also has the menu music, the credits music.
Okay, it's got less songs than I have fingers, probably. For 96
What I will
stages.
say, okay. So for what I will say for Mario as a whole, I do really like Mario's music, but it's definitely not as, I guess, overt as Sonic's music, right? Sonic's music is punchy and like catchy and stuff like that. Whereas I think later Mario music is like definitely more like, it's like more of a symphonic kind of affair and stuff like that.
Super Mario World has 25 songs.
Okay. And then
some of them are short,
right? And what, like, is that including like the like we reached the goal song, the bum 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 bum, like
No.
You know what I'm talking about? Okay,
no, it's not that. It does have like the switch levels, the bonus levels.
Oh, okay.
I think all the map areas have their own song though.
Okay. But that's like there's a lot of reuse. I think is what I'm getting at here.
There is a lot of reuse, but it's also a much longer game than any of the Sonic games. So
that's also fair.
Yeah,
because
it's not meant to be replayed, and Sonic is very clearly meant to be replayed.
That's
But
true.
if we're comparing the music of that era from Mario to Sonic, I think to me at
Sonic
least,
wins.
Sonic, that music.
It's not just Sonic wins. The Genesis wins. The Genesis had a better sound chip.
Mm-hmm. Right.
For the most part, than the Super NES did.
But yeah, as far as the games go, I think it's so fascinating that Sonic has gone in this weird direction for so many years. Like, obviously, still had its core fans and stuff, but then it takes a fan-made, essentially, Sonic game to show that people understand what Sonic is and why it's brilliant.
See, I partially agree with that. Sonic Mania was really good, but Sonic Generations was also really, really good, and it came before Sonic Mania. Like, people sleep on that one.
So here's the thing, though. Like, Sonic Generations might have been good, but any illusion that Sega had figured it out, quote unquote, was shattered when they released Sonic Forces, right?
Well, Sonic Mania came out between Sonic Generations and Sonic Forces.
Right, but Sonic Mania was made by Christian Whitehead.
Yeah. I'm just
Right.
saying, like, the game directly previous to Sonic Mania was a good game.
Right, but what I'm saying is that Sega tried to follow that up with another game and made
and they
Sonic
did a really bad
Forces.
job. Yeah, they did.
So, I don't know if they quite understand
Oh, you
to
know
the
what? I think
level
I'm
that
wrong.
someone like Christian Whitehead does.
I think
like
Sonic
what-
Lost World came out after Sonic Generations, and it was bad.
Oh yeah, Zavok and all that. Yeah,
Everybody forgets that one.
I think
Myself included.
I think the main problem with Sonic Team is I think they're just not very good at making original content. You know, like occasionally they'll make a cool level, or maybe just like a cool area, and then you'll see it in Sonic Generations, right, or in a collection. So like Crisis City from Sonic 06, like that's in there because that's pretty cool. But you know, the gameplay was not great.
I don't know. It feels like a lot of the time they just sort of blow their load at the beginning of the game.
No,
Like, it seems like the
absolutely
first
true.
few cutscenes have
but that's
really
on
high
purpose.
budget, and like the level design is really good in the first few levels, and then it sort of just falls off a cliff.
That is true.
I think it's more than that. Like Sonic Forces had a problem. I believe it was the Game Apologist where I learned this. But it was a lot of that team's first game ever, Sonic Forces. Like, they'd never designed levels for a Sonic game before. Nobody from Sonic Generations was on that team. So, like...
So were they working on something else, or like...
I have no idea.
Were they fired?
There may
or-
just be a high turnover at Sonic Team.
Yeah. You know? So, there's a serious problem with retention on the teams. I assume that it's some Japanese business thing that I will never understand. But...
Yeah, I guess. I mean, but like, you look at Nintendo's offices and like, yeah, we don't know the inner mechanisms of like the core devs and stuff, but like, Nintendo's
it's
had
everywhere. Yeah, Sega. It's unique to Sega. Like Capcom
Okay.
doesn't have this problem.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know. Like, I feel like management should learn a thing or two after like several failed games in a row. But
What's wild is like they don't seem to value the Sonic property very highly, game wise at least. Like,
and that
I'm
might
glad-
be honestly that might be true to an extent because like for all we know, the merchandise could be the real moneymaker here for Sonic.
oh, it probably is, but I mean that's how it is for Pokemon. But
Right.
it's weird to me because like Sonic is like their biggest property, and they have no problem with Sonic fan games, which I'm grateful for because you know Sonic fan games are cool. It gets a lot of people into game development, but it's weird. It's very weird that they're just fine with people using their character.
I think a large part of it is just them. I don't know. Like, I feel like they've embraced this other identity in like Sonic's dark times, right? Like, they've embraced the fact that Sonic has become this thing that is not originally what they created, right? Like, the fans have turned Sonic into something that he was not at first.
Yeah.
And Sega's just sort of running with it.
There's an underbelly.
because like Sega knows that like that's a huge part of why Sonic is popular now.
And that's
Right,
true
like all the-
in like all
the weird
forms.
fan stuff.
Yeah, that's true in all forms of Sonic media, right? Look at Sonic the Hedgehog's Twitter, and you'll see it very clear. There's all this. There's so much interaction with fans. It's very personal. All the Sonic social media is like that. The original atrocious design for Sonic the Hedgehog in the first movie, which they
Oh yeah.
completely changed because the fans hated it. Right? I don't think very many other IPs would have done that. You know, completely, almost, basically scrap their movie because, like, anytime the main character was on screen, they had to completely redo all that animation.
Yeah, it almost, I don't know. I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but like, do you know for sure if they actually like?
Oh,
It almost feels like a stunt. To
I
me.
still
Like,
think it might. There's like a 1% chance it was a marketing ploy.
Yeah, I think there's a decent possibility.
Hmm.
Because how... Then again, Hollywood is the most out of touch place in the world.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason I think that it might not have been a stunt, is that Hollywood is like an absolute echo chamber full of morons.
And it's pretty easy to explain mistakes on Sega's part by Sega's incompetence, and also just, translating over to Hollywood's incompetence.
Yeah. I will say I have had it up to here with the Sonic Twitter tweeting about Chao every couple weeks when they're never going to be in the games again in any meaningful way.
Yeah.
It hurts my heart in a way that I really just don't know if I can handle anymore.
Well, they know how to
so
elicit
that's like
a reaction.
another thing. That seems almost like a no-brainer to me at this point. Like,
Yeah.
how is there not a dedicated, like, there should, if they wanted to, they could release like a Chao Garden live service game, and I'm sure everyone would be okay with it and give them
If I
lots
had
of
a
money.
tiny Chao Garden on my phone, I would be on it all day.
Constantly.
Right? I feel like it's a
Constantly.
no-brainer. And I feel like it
I
wouldn't
feel
be
like-
that hard to make. They've already got this design systems in place. Like, they've already made it
Well,
once before.
I mean, they would need to add something. They could not just put the same transformation.
Hear me out.
Right, but I'm
Hear me
saying
out,
they
hear
have
me
a
out.
baseline, like a strong
They
baseline.
have a very strong baseline, yeah.
Hear me out. Chao NFTs. It's the future.
Oh.
You hurt me.
The future of Chao Garden. Is
Dude, don't put that into the world, because
No.
companies like Sega
Or
might actually
Chao.
try.
Yeah, that might be a cut.
I would cry.
So I think I have a theory.
I would lose it.
Do you think they're going to be in Frontiers? Because I've said that about every game since Shadow the Hedgehog.
So I think they're just waiting for the Chao desires to stew and fester for a while, right? By tweeting.
Dude, it's
Waiting
been
for
like
20
over a
it's been
decade.
20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
It's
okay.
stewed.
We never said they were good at timing or anything, really. Think about, so Pokemon Legends Arceus, right? Pokemon MMO, open world situation, people have been asking for that for decades, right? They could have released that 10 years ago, and it would have also been a hit. I mean, obviously, it wouldn't have had all the functionality, like it would have been a pre-Breath of the Wild game, but I think they may just be waiting for it to reach a critical mass where people are clamoring. Like maybe when the Sonic cinematic universe reaches a higher point, once that Knuckles spin-off gets released.
Once we start seeing Chao in the Sonic movies, was there a Chao in the first one?
No,
Okay, maybe
Was
there's.
there in the second?
I haven't seen it yet.
I don't think anyone here has seen the second one, right?
Okay.
Okay.
I doubt that it's in the second because of something that I know happens at the end. So, but I can see it being in the third.
I know what happens post credits on the second movie.
Yeah,
if
I
that's
don't
what
want to
you're
talk about that
referring
on the show though,
to. Okay.
because I don't want to spoil a movie I've not even seen yet for other people.
Yeah, I'm in
Right,
media
yeah.
blackout for that, like I am
But
with all
okay,
movies.
but here's the thing: if you're a Sonic fan, you probably have a pretty good guess at what the post credit scene is. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't think that they're holding out Chao. I do wish I wish they'd bring on some fans to do a 3D game, like in the adventure style, and the way that they did. 'Cause
Honestly,
the
man,
adventure
I
style
think they
games
could
take a lot less money to make than the generation style.
I think they could do it, right? Like,
Oh yeah, there
Something-
are decent fan games but there are decent fan games that I genuinely believe if they had a budget would be great games.
yeah, I don't
But-
disagree with that. And especially, I think Christian Whitehead proved, right, that this can be done, right? Obviously, 3D games would require more
Yeah.
money
Chao
and
don't
stuff
really
like
work
that.
in
But
2D. I'll point that out.
Mhm.
For many reasons, Chao don't really work in 2D. So it would have to be in a 3D.
Yeah, there was the tiny Chao Garden in Sonic Advance, but that was like extremely limited.
It was an accessory to because you can't have transformation. They use polygon interpolation and stuff for Chao transformations so they can do them like it would take a lot of frames of animation that they're just not going to do that in 2D.
Mhm.
That you can get for free in 3D.
yeah, I mean,
So-
dude, I'm still kind of stuck on, like, this is such a good idea. I feel like it has to be in the works, right? Some kind of mobile,
I don't think so.
continuous Chao Garden game. Like, it's just
no way.
It's-
I seriously doubt it. I would be
too
stunned.
lucrative of an idea. Like,
You're counting
like,
on
yeah, you
Sonic
can
Team
do-
to be smart and in touch right now.
Right.
Yeah,
and
Sonic
they're-
Team is more focused on dunking on their own IP than they are on
Yeah.
actually releasing good
the,
games.
The thing that you're missing, Ahmed, is that the game is going to sell either way. So why would they?
that
do
is a great point. And I think, honestly, like, maybe that has hurt Sonic a little more over the years. The
Yeah,
fact
so-
that the fans buy the game.
Let's
no
talk
matter
about that
what.
for a second, though, because the Chao Garden existed for a reason. Like, it existed kind of for the same reason all the other playstyles had to be brought into Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2, is that, like, a game where Sonic runs fast is not going to be a very long game. So you have to put in the Chao Garden and things like it to incentivize replay. And eventually they kind of replaced that with collectibles and things that incentivized replay, or weird missions and stuff. And they decided that was way less work than the Chao Garden, and they were getting the replay out of it. And then, it came to a head with Sonic Forces, which could be beaten in less, in an hour and a half.
Yeah, the stages are like 10 seconds long.
Yeah. And,
But hey,
Chao
create
Garden
your
would have
own
helped that game, but it would not have saved it.
The only redeeming factor about Sonic Forces was to create your own Sonic OC.
Yeah.
That's controversial.
I never played Sonic Forces. I think it's funny. I'm glad that they put, I've seen, I don't like it, but I've seen the take that, for little kids who got to, make their stupid Sonic OC and be like, I'm best friends with Sonic.
Yeah.
Sure, have it, kid.
And it probably took some pressure off of DeviantArt, too.
It did not hurt me that was in the game.
That's true. Yeah.
As someone who didn't buy the game.
I got it for free.
I got the game for free. Yes, for me as well. And I played the first level, and I was just like, I can't do this.
I think I got it for free at some point too, but I just have no interest.
I did give it a shot, a small shot.
Nah, I watched the Game Apologist video about it, but
yeah, apparently the shadow sections are okay.
Yeah,
shadows in that game?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, they released a prequel DLC for it called Episode Shadow.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's mods on PC to play as Shadow the whole time.
I hope we eventually get... Because, okay, I'm going to say it. I prefer Shadow over Sonic.
He's fine.
Well, yeah, it's like liking Vegeta over Goku.
Yeah, man, he's cool, right? He didn't need to have guns in his game. That was kind of a bit much, but, I don't know.
I would have loved for him to have been in Sonic Mania as a playable character.
I feel like that's a Sonic Mania 2 type thing.
Sure, I'd take it.
Well, Sonic Mania was all the old school Sonic characters, right?
Yeah, the
I know,
very
but
old
as a DLC, they could have put Shadow in as just a skin swap.
Yeah. Well, also it probably a 2D Shadow sprite probably looks kind of weird because he's all textury, right? But I'm sure.
There's no canonical 2D sprite for Shadow. It's never been done by Sega. Well, there are 2D sprites for him.
Sonic Battle does. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to mention Sonic Battle, which
Sonic Battle
also
is
a very
awesome
good game.
Most fans use. Yeah, Sonic Battle is pretty fun.
Yeah, I just forget. Sonic hasn't seen a 2D game, or Shadow hasn't seen a 2D game.
Sonic Battle's kind of 2D. No, Shadow was in, wasn't he in one of the Sonic Advance games?
I think so.
I could be wrong.
That doesn't sound right.
I mean, all Sonic needs is another anime series.
So they've tried multiple times, right? They've
kind of abandoned a lot of that stuff. I don't think it affected the anime, but they had to reboot the comics because Ken Pembroke, I think is his name, sued them into oblivion.
So
isn't he the guy who did some weird stuff?
He's a weird dude, yeah. But he for many reasons. But he wrote Sonic comics for a long time, and I guess Sega did not have a very clear contract with him, so he owns most of the characters that he made. God. So they just had to stop doing
that's crazy
the Sonic comics because he owns Sally Acorn or whatever.
You know what I want? I want a Big the Cat game. I don't even care. Just give me Big.
What's he gonna do? Fish?
Big the Cat. Yes, give me Big the Cat's
fishing game. I mean, honestly, that could work.
I'd be down.
But yeah, as far as the Sonic TV series goes, I remember when I was little, that was part of my Saturday morning cartoon routine. One of the Sonic series. And I forget
X.
which one it was. Sonic X, that's what it was. Yeah.
Sonic X played fast and loose with the lore of the series.
Yeah. I remember they adopted.
Cool.
They adapted some of the stories from the Sonic Adventure games.
But then they also had Dark Sonic, and I think they had the Hyper Emeralds at some point.
They had the green chick. I don't remember.
Yeah,
the green chick.
And they turned Eggman into a real pansy.
Yeah, they did.
There was one point I remember, what was it? Eggman was talking to some other big bad guy and saying, I don't like what you did to some whatever character. It's one thing to cause trouble, but when you actually hurt somebody, that's going too far. It's Dr. Eggman.
Meanwhile, Eggman.
Well, Eggman is a feminist and a romantic.
Eggman.
I like Sonic Boom Eggman more.
I like the Boom Eggman a
lot. Sonic Boom, that cratered instantly, right?
Are we talking about the game or the show?
The Sonic Boom games did very bad. The Sonic Boom show did very well. People really liked the Sonic Boom show. Yeah.
The Sonic Boom show is pretty good.
Is there a Sonic show running currently?
I think Boom was
I
the
don't
last
know
one.
if Sonic Boom. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess they've shifted their attention to Hollywood now. Which, by the way, Sonic 2, I think it did over 70 million opening weekend, and it is now the most successful opening for a video game movie ever.
Yep.
Beating out the likes of like Detective Pikachu and stuff.
Well, even
That's
Sonic
nuts,
1 beat Detective Pikachu.
Really?
Not the
Pikachu was
opening
good.
weekend, I believe.
Oh, maybe.
I think the opening
maybe not
weekend.
the opening weekend.
But regardless, yeah, this movie is like a smash hit, it's doing gangbusters, and it just opens the floodgates, man. We're probably gonna get a Big the Cat movie, honestly.
There is definitely a Tails movie in the works. There's a Knuckles
Give me
TV show
Big the
coming.
Cat.
I could see Big being in a Sonic movie. They're not gonna. They haven't even put Big in any games in a long time.
Yeah, Big said like 100 words total since Sonic Adventure. So I don't know.
I
what
mean, they're
gonna do
definitely
with it.
taking their time, right? Like Sonic 1, I haven't seen either of the Sonic movies, but I believe Sonic 1 only had Sonic and Eggman, right?
Yeah.
And now 2 is adding Tails and Knuckles, right?
Yeah.
So they're slowly but surely building the cast.
Yeah.
So I cannot believe Idris Elba did not phone it in as Knuckles. Apparently,
Dude, he
performance
did his
was really
research.
good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he wanted, like, I read an interview, he was like asking all these questions about what is Knuckles' motivation and stuff like that. Like, he took the role very seriously, which I find hilarious.
Yeah.
And Jim Carrey
But
knew to
awesome.
retire after Sonic 2, his magnum opus, the best movie he could ever possibly make.
Did he really?
Well, yeah, he said that that's probably his last movie.
That's wild to me.
They can't not have Eggman in any of the sequels.
I mean, maybe he's Robotnik and they recast somebody for Eggman. I don't know.
I could see
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Has he said his first name? What if he's Gerald Robotnik?
Oh, no, I think they have said Ivo.
Okay. Because Gerald is the one that
His
made Shadow the
grandfather,
Hedgehog
yeah.
and Sonic Adventure 2. Yeah.
Do we think... I feel like the Sonic Adventure games in particular are very adaptable to, like, show and movie. Do we think we're going to see an adaptation?
A Sonic Adventure 1 movie would be god-awful. Like, that... They would have to completely change so much about it. Like, because there's too much going on. Like, to fit in 2.5 hours, like, you would cut E102 Gamma completely.
Mhm.
Like,
Big's gone.
I doubt he would even be in the movie.
Amy's gone.
Big's gone.
That's
Amy's probably gone.
that trash can that
Amy's
chased
got to
Amy.
come in. Amy has to come in soon, right? Like, Amy is hyper marketable. I feel like
will
so.
come in soon. I feel like they're gonna cut. If they would make a Sonic Adventure movie, they would cut every story except Sonic and maybe Knuckles.
Yeah.
Because Knuckles getting tricked again is like significant.
And
but
Tails' story is just Sonic's story.
yeah, so it could get worked in. But I bet they would take out the missile attack and everything at the end of Tails' story.
Yeah,
because that's dumb.
that was pretty dumb. It was the only it was the only like canon carryover into Sonic 2 though, or Sonic Adventure 2.
Yeah, I could see Sonic Adventure 2 getting adapted with some significant changes.
Yeah, because it's not a
It'd probably
scatterbrained.
It'd probably only follow the hero story. Yeah, it tells a story. Like, it knows how to tell a story. That was the problem with Sonic Adventure 1 narratively, is that they just didn't know how to tell it. They were trying to do this like Pulp Fiction thing.
Sonic 1, Pulp Fiction.
No, I'm pretty sure it was directly inspired by Pulp Fiction,
That's so
Really?
funny.
and it did not work. I could be
Sonic
wrong
Adventure
about that.
1?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds
It
like
tries to just
that
tell
sounds like a
disconnected stories with a little bit of overlap, much like Pulp Fiction does.
I also don't
okay.
know.
I'll hear that.
Are you
but
telling me that Big the Cat story wasn't the best part of that?
Yes.
Come on, he just wanted to find his frog, man.
No. Okay, here's my argument against Sonic Adventure series getting made into any sort of film adaptation. They might do like a TV series about it. I could see that working better with Sonic Adventure. But the Sonic Adventure games went a little darker, right? They went a little edgier, especially now that characters could have dialogue. Whereas the Sonic movies that they've made are very lighthearted and just like very classic Sonic, very happy-go-lucky. Like, it's Spider-Man, it's not Batman.
Yeah, they can't show Shadow
yeah,
dying.
there's definitely right. Yeah, there's definitely like an angle where this is like obviously it was always going to be marketed towards kids, but like they've really roped in like the child audience with these movies. Like,
Can I say I haven't seen Sonic 2 yet. Sonic 1 would have been a 20% better movie to me if they had made Eggman's robots orange instead of white.
Yeah,
What were they thinking?
I think they probably. I'm sure they talked about that. I'm sure that it looked a
Yeah.
little too silly and cartoonish, and they wanted to make it look more realistic. But you've got a talking blue hedgehog talking to James Marsden, so
give me the orange badniks, like,
yeah.
or even make them look like the gun robots from Sonic.
I think
Adventure
that's
2.
what they
That
were
would've
trying to
been
go for.
crazy. Yeah, it didn't really work for me, but
Yeah, I guess Eggman's had a lot of different robots, right?
Yeah.
Oh God, Eggman's had more than enough badniks. Is that what they're called?
Badniks.
yeah, they were called badniks until Sonic Heroes, and then they're called Eggman's robots, which sucks.
Great name.
Yeah, and Tails says it a billion times. I hate Sonic Heroes.
That was the first bad
Eggman's
game.
robots.
Dude, I remember at the time loving Sonic Heroes. Sonic could do no wrong.
I liked
Back
Sonic
in the day.
Heroes, but I never liked it enough to ask for it.
One thing I
played it
really
at a
liked
friend's
about
house.
those games was just like unlocking the true ending. I feel like that was a common thing in
Yeah, but in Sonic
in
Heroes, you had
3D
to play
Sonic
the
games.
same game 4 times.
Yeah.
like, at varying levels of difficulty. It was like a colossal commitment.
I remember seeing Sonic Heroes and just feeling a betrayal of Sonic Team. Like this, like it was
Yeah.
a family member letting me down for the first time. was what I
And
felt.
then- and then they kept letting you down.
Yeah, and then they just like walked away and left me in an orphanage.
Well, then they made Shadow the Hedgehog, which, was the greatest game ever made.
Yeah.
But then they let us down.
We had cross-continental dreams about that.
Hot take.
I did.
Shadow the Hedgehog, not a good game. Better than Sonic Heroes in every conceivable
Oh,
way.
yeah, I agree
I
It's
with
agree.
a
that 100%.
fantastic game. What do you mean? It is the best game ever released. 10 out of 10, better than Elden Ring.
I don't think Shadow the Hedgehog is as bad as people say it is now, but I do think
Better
it's
than
pretty
Elden
bad.
Ring.
If they just didn't
Ranga
have them
didn't.
cussing.
I want to get this
I-
on the record. Ranga, didn't you
All right,
unlock
yeah,
like all
yeah. Let me
380
tell the
endings
story.
or whatever?
All right, so for anyone who doesn't know, Shadow the Hedgehog has branching paths in the storyline, right? The hero ending, the dark ending, and the neutral ending, typically for each mission. Some of them only have a couple of them for story tree reasons, but. At the tender age of 14 or 15, I might have gotten all 326
Wow, that's way older than I
combinations.
would have expected.
Yeah. Well, it was E10, and I couldn't just play it when I was 9.
So that has to be like dozens of hours of just repeated
I think it
gameplay,
would be
right?
more than that. 'cause you
Hundreds,
can't get
maybe.
If it's 300 endings, you could not beat that game in less than an hour.
Yeah, each story progression probably took an hour, and that's if you get every ending that you want in the right order.
Yeah, so that was minimum 300 hours.
Yeah, minimum.
I don't like thinking
Probably a
about
lot
that.
more. Yeah, I remember, dude. I remember vividly. Like I've told this on the show before too. Like I got the game, then I had to go like across the world to visit family, and I was like dreaming about this game because I couldn't play it and I was missing it. But like, in addition to that, like I had made it a goal. Like I was like, I'm going to get every ending, and I remember sitting down and grinding them, and then eventually, I came to my senses, and unlike Ranga, clearly, but
See, I
I took
remember
the blue
grinding
pill.
it out so I could get the secret ending. But that was all I did.
Yeah, you
I
just
did not
need
get
16 for
every-
that. You just need to get the hero and dark
You
in
just-
each ending stage.
so when are we going to get the Black Doom spin-off movie?
Hopefully never. I think they retconned that, didn't they?
I don't even hate the writing in Shadow the Hedgehog. Like, it's fine.
I don't know. It's
I hate
dumb,
that they forgot
but,
that they
like,
blew up the moon. Like, they said that the moon turned.
Yeah,
and
but the
that's why you
moon
can't
doesn't
see the
turn.
crater.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't happen. Yeah.
Oh god.
Maybe it would if you shot it with a cannon, Ranga.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Eggman not only
But-
destroyed half the moon, but he spun it once.
Yeah. 180 degrees.
I remember back in the day, like the gun thing was still weird to me as a kid. Like even as a kid who like
I just didn't use them much on my first playthrough.
yeah, like
You guys told me
I
back
intentionally didn't use them because it just felt so unnatural. It
Yeah.
really did feel like a thing just tacked on to be like, hey, this is edgy.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, so the story behind that is that somebody wrote in to Yuji Naka and Sonic Team and said, can you give Sonic a gun? And they said, no, that doesn't feel right, but we can give Shadow a gun, because it just sort of felt like Shadow was a vehicle to do the
Yeah.
things that they couldn't let Sonic do because he was Sonic.
And it felt fine. Like, I don't think it looks stupid now, but when I was a kid, like, Shadow holding a gun was not that weird to me. You know, pumping an SMG was weird to me even as a kid, but, maybe if you're not an American, you don't know as much about guns. Like,
Yeah, I honestly didn't mind the shadow gun thing. Maybe it was because I was so deep in the Sonic trance that I just didn't care. But
Yeah.
it was one of those, like, the whole point of the game with Shadow was that he was like morally, like, he could be dyed in any color, right? So if he's working with the bad
Yep,
guys,
that was cool.
then he can pick up a gun. So who cares, right? I guess the one like edgy part of that game that just doesn't hold up at all was the fact that they forced a bunch of curse words in there, and it just never
Oh
felt
yeah, I
natural
forgot
at all.
about that.
That damn fourth Chaos Emerald.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Was it E10 or
It was
was
E10.
it T?
E10. It was
Okay.
originally going to be E, I think, and then they made.
There's no
E10.
way with curses. There's no way.
No,
it'd be E.
they added the curses when the E10 rating came out.
Just to
Yeah,
force
no,
it upwards.
E10 didn't exist yet. Yeah,
Originally, he was just going to ask, where's the Chaos Emerald?
E10 was new, and they changed development to get an E10 rating. I forget if they went up or down. Like, it was originally going to be T, and they made it E10. I forget.
They put it in exactly one dam.
Yeah. Shadow the Hedgehog, it's another one, like, if you just play Shadow the Hedgehog, like, one playthrough, you're not going to hate that game. Like, you're not going to love it, but you're not going to hate it. It's when you, like, do all the optional missions that game really starts to show how bad it is. Like, there's a level where you have to kill all the chaos monsters on Ark, the space
On the
station
space colony,
whatever.
yeah.
Space Colony Ark, and that level alone took me 3 hours, I think, as a kid.
Yeah, a
Like,
lot of the
trying to-
kill 'em all levels, just there was always one that was in a
Unbearable.
random terrible location.
And there's no hint, there's
Mhm.
nothing. So it ends up being like the worst possible version of like the Knuckles levels in Sonic Adventure that I didn't like to begin with. So, yeah. I did. My first playthrough, though, I remember really liking it. I just ran straight to the end of every level and got down the middle. I also just don't like how... it's hard to critique a Sonic game for its narrative, but Shadow the Hedgehog, it's so confused. Like, it's like, is Shadow an android or a clone or something?
Oh,
Or is he
yeah.
not? It's like...
Well,
it would have been nice to, at any point, get a definitive answer.
Well, I think
and the answer they gave...
sorry. Wasn't the definitive answer that the hero, like the full hero story, was the one that ended up being canon at the end?
I have no idea. I don't remember. It's been 10 years, so...
Yeah, I
thought it
really
was like
didn't pay attention.
hero story plus true ending was the
Maybe.
canon.
Yeah, hero
route,
story
yeah,
plus
whatever.
true ending. Because yeah, and I think all the joke is that all the others were just like delusions or like what if scenarios, right? Like because he's
I
not
hate that,
really an android, but
Yeah, he just survived the fall somehow. Yeah.
yeah. Well, and then in
'Cause
Sonic
it's-
Heroes, there were just like a bunch of clones of Shadow somewhere, right? Like
Well, it's also very unclear. Well, they were in Shadow the Hedgehog, too. There were a bunch of... But like, it's unclear... Yeah, like in Sonic Heroes, they say, you know, the original has to be out there somewhere at some point. Because Japan likes to confuse clone and android in a pretty big way. Like, what they actually mean does not carry over in translation very well.
right.
So it's kind of like, you know, the androids in Dragon Ball were cyborgs.
Mhm.
So they just kind of use the word android for a lot of things.
Well, that was a U.S. mistranslation, right, with the androids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but so is this for
Right. Mm-hmm.
Shadow. So it's not Japan. It's when
It's the
stuff comes
translation.
from Japan.
Yeah,
Right,
I get you.
yeah. I was just gonna say, like, I'm very impressed by both of your abilities to just remember these plot points because I remember very little.
Dude,
I remember
let me
there
just
was
say-
I remember the starfish.
Starfish?
Was it starfish? Yeah, like the space starfish.
Oh yeah, the one that follows
Oh.
you around. Yeah,
Yeah.
Black.
Oh, yeah, Black Doom's eye.
Doom's.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was just a
Black
space
Doom.
starfish.
And then when he's the final boss of Shadow the Hedgehog, then he's this giant golem gargoyle thing, but he has two heads and one eye.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was very funny. That was very weird.
Oh yeah,
That final boss
What a
fight
weird
was
game.
not worth the time.
yeah.
It looked like a giant poop. It was just not.
And Super Shadow looked pretty dumb too. Like he just looked like he had some weird, like clear, super yellow armor on.
Everything after Sonic Adventure 2 and before Sonic Unleashed, like, looked really bad. They had that like weird plasticky sheen over everything.
Mhm.
I don't understand why they did it. It looked hideous.
I know I've talked about this multiple times, so I'm going to keep it brief, but I do want to give you credit, Ranga, that when we tried Sonic 06 for the first time, I was enthralled and you were like, no, this is stupid. And it only took like several months for me to be like, okay, no, this is stupid. But at first, I was all about it.
I really wanted it. I was fortunate enough not to have a console that I could play it on.
Oh, I mean, I think it was just I remember the both of the Sonic Adventure games felt really good to play, right? Like the gameplay, like at least for the time, was like pretty tight, easy to work with, pretty intuitive. And then I remember, Ahmed, you like handed me the controller for Sonic 06, and I was just like, what is this? This does not feel like I remember Sonic feeling. And it was just
that
like really
20-minute
clunky.
load screen.
Yeah, and the 20-minute load screen and the first cutscene looking like incredibly good. Like even still, honestly, by today's standards, still looks good. And then the rest of the game looking like hot, wet garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like all the budget went into the first cutscene and the last cutscene.
That's very
and then,
typical
like,
Sonic, though. That is a consistent thread, right? Like, who plays any level in Sonic 1 besides Green Hill Zone?
Honestly.
And who?
I mean,
when
that's
you're grinding
fair,
for
yeah.
your Chao, who's playing anything other than City Escape?
Right.
Wild
yeah.
Canyon, because you can get a cheetah. If you go straight through the bottom
Yeah.
of that stage, you get a cheetah there. I mean, other than
I
just
have
getting
a Chaos
animals.
Chao. I know all the animal locations.
Oh,
in
yeah.
that
I
game.
also had I had all
do?
3 Chaos Chow.
Oh, I only had the one. I didn't have that kind of time. Well, I guess I could have done 3 at
What in
once,
the world?
but I didn't.
You really don't need that much time. You just leave your GameCube on overnight.
I
Wait.
refused. My dad wouldn't let me do that because it was wasting
What?
power. So the best
Oh.
I could do is leave it on while I ate dinner and stuff.
I think I may have put something over the power indicator light on my GameCube, so
Smart.
it didn't
yeah.
look like it was on.
Yeah, good scam.
I mean, I feel like, yeah, this is why I wanted you two on the same show, because I feel like you have a lot of experiences you can relate to with your Sonic.
Dude, do you guys know anybody who lost a Chao? Do you know anybody who had one die on them?
Oh, I had many Chow die on me.
Oh, I never had a Chao die ever. I don't think they all reincarnated. But my friend John had a Chao named John because at the time we were like 7 years old or something. He named all of his he named his starter Pokemon after himself. He just did that with everything. And Chao John died, and
That's meta.
yeah, John was never the same after that. It was dark. He didn't know because he hated Rouge. He really hated Rouge, and so he would go into the Chao Garden as Rouge and beat his Chao.
Oh.
Jesus
He wanted
Christ.
them to hate her too.
Wait.
Wow.
Hold on a second.
And
That's
and he
not
learned his
right.
lesson. His Chao died on him because of it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I remember that because because that's one way to change your Chow's alignment, right? You can either be
Yeah, you
nice
can
to
be
them with a
mean to them,
character,
yeah.
or just beat
up
the crap out of them,
Chows?
just throw them off of
So
cliffs.
you could actually beat them to death?
Yeah. Well,
no, they die.
No.
They have they die of old age. But if they are not
okay.
happy when they die, they
Mhm.
die. If they're happy when they die, they reincarnate and their stats reset.
That's
Yeah.
so dark.
So
man.
it's more like they just let themselves die. They lose the will to live. Yeah, and then they just don't reincarnate.
Is John okay though? Because I feel like that's a pretty messed
friend
up
John?
thing to do.
He's doing better now. It took a long time though. He probably started doing better sometime last year.
That's awesome.
God, are they okay?
Yeah, but the Chow's dead. It's gone forever. He reset his GameCube so many times because he thought it was a bug. He didn't know what was happening.
That
This is a fun story about me as a kid. I had my dad print off the entire Chao Garden section on GameWinners.com so that I would know how to get all the cool Chao you had to breed for and stuff.
GameWinners.com.
I remember
that.
GameWinners.com.
Yeah.
It was 11 pages. There were a lot of Chao things. And I might still have that printed off in my dresser upstairs.
Yeah.
I think I copied and pasted that page into Notepad. I didn't even use a formatted word processor. I just kept it somewhere.
Yeah. It's wild. That's the thing that you just don't get in Modern Sonic though. There's nothing that deep. The Chao Garden was complex.
There was depth.
It had there was a lot going on.
The Chao
A lot of
minigames,
replay.
the karate.
And I really think that there's no pet simulator since then that can keep up with it either.
Sitting here trying to think of one.
I don't think I've played enough pet simulators to back
Maybe
that up, but
Nintendogs, because you could teach them tricks and stuff. But
I'm telling you, man, the opportunity's there. They just need to seize it.
yeah,
Yeah, they
I
could have
think-
seized
I
a
think
lot of
this-
things.
This is a good segue. I think, for the final sort of Sonic-related topic here, the future of Sonic, right? So, obviously we're going to get a lot more movies, but I think the thing I'm interested in is the games, right? We've got Sonic Frontier, right? That's the announced game, and it's, I think, drawing inspiration from Breath of the Wild, right?
I think it's probably drawing more inspiration from Mario Odyssey,
Yeah.
realistically, because it says open zone, so it's probably going to be sort of like Mario Odyssey, where it's a big open area, but there's several of them.
Yeah, and I don't know, just by nature of Sonic, I feel like that's harder to do as with Sonic.
It depends
Than
on how
Mario.
fast they make him. If it's like,
It's got to be pretty fast, though, otherwise, then, like, what's the point?
Well, then that's
I mean-
Sonic 06.
Sonic Adventure 2 was not that fast.
It was not that fast,
Like-
but it felt faster than Sonic 06 and Sonic Heroes and a lot of the games that came later. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, if they look at Sonic, the Sonic Adventure games pretty hard, I think you could reasonably make a bunch of open areas that would feel good with Sonic Adventure controls.
They kind of already did that with Sonic Adventure 1, right? Like they had those adventure field areas. That was like a
Yeah,
smaller
exactly.
scale.
Right,
But
yeah.
you could.
That's a good
And
point.
They felt fine, but you also didn't, you didn't spend a lot of time running fast in those.
Mhm.
But yeah, they did do that.
Are you guys familiar with Sonic Origins?
No.
No.
So I think this is a new collection that is leaked. And it'll have a collection of, like, older Sonic games. I know they've done collections in the past, but supposedly this is, like, an even bigger one.
I know that it was big.
Don't know
news
the
that there's-
details.
There's a Sonic 3 and Knuckles port coming to the Switch, and that's like huge news.
Wait,
That's
what?
That's not a leak though. That's official.
That's real?
yeah. I believe there's a Sonic collection coming to the Nintendo Switch that has Sonic 3 and Knuckles in it.
Did they change the
It was
music?
shown in a. I don't remember. I think it might have the PC port music,
Oh, okay.
but it was confirmed in a Nintendo Direct.
Now that's something I could see myself getting into.
Yeah.
Okay,
I highly recommend, if you haven't played it, Sonic 3 Air. It's Angel Island Revisited, I think is what that stands for.
Hmm.
That's how I played Sonic 3 and Knuckles on my PC. It has widescreen support.
Oh.
It's very nice.
Interesting.
Okay,
And
so yeah, I was just gonna say Sonic Origins will feature Sonic 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles and CD with added content and features.
I think that's what I
on
was talking about.
modern
Yeah.
platforms. Yeah.
Oh, I only knew about it being on Switch. But yeah, Sonic 3 Air, if you have to own a Sonic 3 and Knuckles ROM on Steam or something to play it, or somehow have that ROM. I think you can have any of the PC ports, maybe. I don't know. But it was fun. You can it has options for the PC port music. It has options to use the original level order, because I guess the level order was different between those two. It's pretty good. I had a good time playing it.
Huh. Yeah, I haven't played it since the Mega Collection on GameCube.
Yeah, I never
That was
had
a great collection.
I had Sonic 3 and Knuckles on PC. I had the PC port growing up. And I was playing it
Wow.
with keyboard and mouse, or with a keyboard. You didn't use a mouse. It's not a first person shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've got Sonic Origins, Sonic Frontiers.
Yeah, I wish there'd be a Mania 2 announcement. I feel like it's gotta exist.
It's that has to be in the works.
yeah. but
That
it's just-
I mean, that one's a no-brainer.
the thing I
but-
want in Sonic Mania 2 is I want all original stages. I'm sick of seeing Green Hill Zone in every Sonic game.
Yes, I am also sick of seeing Green Hill Zone in every Sonic game.
Well, you know which one I'm really sick of is Chemical Plant Zone. I actually don't like that. I
Really?
never liked that level, and I hate that it's in every single collection.
I do really like Chemical Plant Zone, but it is getting overplayed. That's true.
It always stressed me out as a kid.
Yeah, that was like the first hard water stage I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like they're going for like a duality. They have like the classic
Classic
Sonic
versus
and the
modern.
modern Sonic.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see if Sonic
I do-
Frontier is good.
Yeah,
I
I don't
hope-
know, man. Like, I hope they make another good 3D Sonic game, because, like,
It's been a while.
I don't know, like it has been a while.
It's possible. Like, Sonic Generations was so good. Like, it
Yes.
was such a breath of fresh air. Like, I replay Sonic Generations every once in a while. I also have a mod that puts the Sonic Unleashed levels in Sonic Generations, and that's really fun. It's just only the daytime stages, which were the good part.
Right.
Well, the okay part. And that's pretty fun. You can play through it in like an hour, but it's pretty
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, and like Sonic Colors is pretty good. Like Boost gameplay is fine, but then they add some bells and whistles on there that take it into weird places.
Yeah, I never played Sonic Colors. I don't like the wisps and stuff. And also, most of that game is 2D, and like, I don't really like modern 2D Sonic very much.
Yeah, that was a little jarring at first, but either I got used to it or no, I probably just got used to it.
Yeah, I also I didn't think that the 2D stages were bad in Sonic Generations, but I would prefer 2D and 3D be separate games instead of like them shoehorning classic Sonic into every single 3D game from now on. Because that's kind of weird. I don't understand why he was in Sonic Forces other than like to try to sell that game.
Oh yeah, the Sonic from another dimension. Because I think the plot wasn't complicated enough with, the opening of Eggman's taken over the world and Sonic's been tortured for months and everyone thinks he's dead.
It really does feel like they just looked at DeviantArt to get that story.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, there is definitely like a cross-pollination now between like the official creators of Sonic and like the weird...
Official Sonic embraces the
crazy,
fandom.
Yeah, Sonic fan-made stuff.
In a way that no other
Sonic
IP does.
OCs as kids?
I made dozens.
I made one.
I didn't, but
okay, well,
yeah.
There are two types
I'm sure, Ahmed, that you also did. Probably like
maybe
at
I've
my
repressed
coercion.
it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
there
we
are
were
two
in the
types of
computer
people
lab
in
in the
this
middle
world.
school.
People who made a Sonic OC in middle school and liars.
Yes.
It's very much possible. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I was as obsessed as you guys back in the day, but
I not only made a Sonic OC, I tried to make the sprites to mod my Sonic OC into Sonic Roboblast 2.
Have you guys
Sonic Roboblast?
Sonic Roboblast 2 is probably the best Sonic fan game ever made. It's extremely good.
What is that? What was that Kirby game? Kirby Robo something?
Kirby Planet Robobot. Yeah.
Okay.
This is Sonic Roboblast. It predates Kirby by 20 years or so.
Okay.
Yeah, this game started. It's a Doom mod. It is on the Doom engine. It is that old. It started in the early 2000s, I think, by a team called Sonic Team Junior. I don't know if it's done now. I know that it was like playable start to finish a long time ago. I don't know if they work on it anymore though.
Huh.
It has everything. It's nuts how good it is.
Rang, are you taking notes?
Oh, I'm looking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Highly recommend it. I'm surprised you haven't heard of it. It's a lot of popular Let's Players and stuff on YouTube have covered this game.
This looks wild. I mean, honestly, I have not dipped my toe into the fan-made Sonic games like nearly as much as I could.
I look at Sage every year a little bit just to like see, new game developers and stuff. There's also, if you don't know about this, it's Spark the Electric Jester or something, or Spark the something. And it's I think the first one is 2D and it's a Sonic-like game, but the second one is a Sonic Adventure-like 3D platformer. Spark the Electric Jester 2 is, yeah. I have never played it. I've heard good things, though.
Looks pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. There's all these, not only are there like original Sonic fan games, there's also Sonic fan remakes of bad Sonic games, right? Like Project 06, which is basically people taking the terrible gameplay of Sonic 06 and making it usable. And there's like a fully playable Sonic and Shadow campaign at this point, and it's pretty good.
Wow. I didn't know it was that far along. Yeah, Sonic fans are wild.
There's something all right.
There's a dedication there that is not merited.
Borders on unhealthy, but I mean, like, they're the reason Sonic's still as relevant as it is today. Like, hands down. Like, they kept Sonic alive in his darkest times.
Yeah, I mean,
because there was a while there.
Yeah.
And now they've been rewarded with a cinematic universe.
Yep.
That is okay to slightly good.
It's pretty all right. It's definitely profitable for Paramount.
It sure is a movie.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Hey, it's all right.
Unremarkable in every way.
Yeah, you pay to see it.
And you don't necessarily regret it afterwards.
Yeah. You get what you pay for when you see it. A movie about Sonic.
Honestly, let's be real here. That's all Sonic fans can really ask for,
Yeah.
Like
that's all they can expect. So.
That's all.
Yeah. Well,
actually, you can beat Sonic Forces faster than you can watch the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, I think.
That's definitely
insane,
true,
man.
Well, here's the
and
thing.
That's not speedruns. That's like just playing it.
Sonic has always had a quality control issue, right? Like all the way back. All right, Green Hill Zone, great level in Sonic 1. Everything else after it, no one touches. No one even thinks about.
Yeah, pretty bad.
Yeah, pretty
Casino
awful,
Zone
actually.
was pretty good.
What?
The Casino Zone was pretty good.
That's not in Sonic.
That was
1.
Sonic 3, wasn't it?
There was
I think
another
so.
one. There was one in Sonic 1. I just can't remember what it was called.
No, there's not. There's no casino in Sonic 1. I'm looking it up to be sure, but
There might have been, but who cares? Because no one's played it. One Zones.
Are you thinking of Starlight Zone?
Starlight
Yeah.
Zone.
It's not a casino, but
Casino Night Zone was also in Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
what?
Yeah, there's a Casino Night Zone in Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Yeah, in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, not in
Yeah.
Sonic 1. Yeah. No, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is pretty good all the way through.
Yeah, Sonic 2 is pretty good.
Sonic 3 as well, pretty good all the way through, especially because you get that refresh of the and Knuckles part where you like it starts getting good again.
Yeah. And then, what was it, like Sidious? Yeah, first levels of Sonic Adventure 2. Everyone plays those, and then not really anything else. But then Sonic Generations, for that reason, is excellent because it's mostly just a collection of the first levels, or the one level in a lot of those games that was really good. So like it seems like that's sort of a Sonic theme, right? Is searching for the hidden gems, which is funny because Chaos Emeralds.
So fun Sonic fact: the first game that Sonic appeared in was called Puzzle Construction for the Mega Drive.
What?
Huh.
Or the Sega Drive.
Did you actually? This is a weird thing that I didn't learn until a couple years ago. Did you know that all the original 3 Sonic games came to the Mega Drive as well?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Always
Or
forget
the Master
Mega Drive.
System. The Master System is what I'm thinking of. The like their NES equivalent.
Yeah, personally, I never owned a Sega console. I remember going to people's houses and seeing them there, and I was just like, what's this weird thing that isn't a Nintendo?
I don't like the look of the controllers, and I've really never been able to get over that.
Yeah,
Until the Dreamcast. The Dreamcast is kind of sick.
the
I have
3
Dreamcast.
inline buttons on the Genesis was weird.
Yeah, like I don't have. You can rock your thumb back and forth to hit 2 buttons. What are you supposed to do with 3? Like, I don't know. But I got a Dreamcast specifically to play the original Sonic Adventure 2, and I never finished it, and my Dreamcast doesn't work anymore, and that's pretty sad.
Yeah, I wish I had played the Dreamcast version of at least Sonic Adventure 1, because I have always heard
Yeah,
that
it's better.
that the GameCube port of that was not as good.
Also, I was talking about Spring Yard Zone in Sonic 1.
Spring Yard Zone.
Yeah, Zone 3.
Yeah, I'm looking at the list. I just want to see a picture of it.
Oh, I remember that.
For the. Yeah, not a casino though.
It's an amusement park.
Yeah.
I'm easily confused.
Yeah, I see. Okay, I see how you could call that a casino-ish.
Yeah, dude, Sonic CD. People like it more than they should. It's not as good as its
The
reputation.
time travel stuff was weird. I think Sonic CD rides on having the really cool design of Metal Sonic.
I think it rides on the fact that nobody got to play it because nobody has a Sega CD.
That's true.
I have a Sega
So
CD.
it was
what do
like-
you mean?
Sonic CD was actually really good. You just don't know because you didn't have a CD.
Yeah, I
Wait,
remember I played the Christian
Are you
Whitehead
saying
port. And it was
none
yeah,
of
me
you
too.
have had Sonic
Fine.
CD, a Sega CD?
I've never had a Sega CD.
I have 2 of them.
Do you really?
Yes.
that
I
must be
believe
like half of all the
somewhere.
Sega CDs.
Yeah, there's a Jurassic Park game for them too.
I'm familiar with the Angry Video Game Nerd episode about that game.
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah.
I had FMVs. There was one where you're a sewer shark or something. I don't know. The Sega CD was great though. It totally worked 100% of the time.
The free
Did it
market
not?
says
I feel like-
otherwise.
Oh, no, we have 2 of them because one of them I don't think works, or it just doesn't like work properly. I don't remember.
It's very Sega.
All right. Well, do we have any final thoughts on Sonic the Hedgehog? Because I feel like we've gone a little long.
No,
It's only
I just
been an
really
hour
want
of Sonic.
Frontier to be good.
I just want
What was that,
Sonic
Mike?
to be
Sonic
consistently good.
Oh, I was just saying it's only been an hour of Sonic. We could do another hour.
Yeah, we could do 7 more probably.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I didn't even talk about the musical theater aspect of Sonic.
Oh my god.
Oh God.
Is
Please
this a meme?
no.
Are you being serious?
No, this is real. So there's an episode of Sonic Boom. It's called Mr. Eggman, where they discover that Dr. Eggman does not actually have a doctorate. This episode is excellent. Okay. And then in there, they do an entire parody of a song from the musical Bye Bye Birdie, where they tease Dr. Eggman about how he's not actually a doctor. It's incredible. And they refer to him as Mr. Eggman for the rest of that episode. It's
The Sonic
amazing.
Boom cartoon is actually really funny.
Oh, yeah. It's very clever.
Feminist Knuckles is like such a good bit.
I just wish he was smarter.
Yeah, and there's also, they make fun of their fans. There's a fan that makes like Sonic OCs.
Oh yeah, he doesn't he like kidnap Sonic or something?
I think so. Yeah, and he just really annoys him. Yeah.
See, there's like a dichotomy here where they're self-aware enough to integrate the fan stuff, but like
They
not
ironically had
cognizant
a lot of
enough to implement good game design.
They had a lot of freedom on the Sonic Boom TV show, whereas they had quite the opposite on the Sonic Boom game. Like, the Sonic Boom game, one of the reasons it was so bad, I don't think it was ever going to be good because I don't like the original idea of it, but one of the reasons it was so bad was because they made it on an engine. They made it on Unreal Engine 3 because they were targeting PS3 and Xbox 360 originally. And then Sega, without consulting the developers, signed a deal for that game to be exclusive to the Wii U, which did not support Unreal Engine 3. And this was like they only had like a year of development left by the time that deal was made, so they had to start completely over with only a year left.
God, what a disaster.
Yeah. But yeah,
right.
I'm ready to move over to games we've been playing.
So, Ranga, if you don't know, we always end each episode by talking about what we're playing.
And if you don't know that, I'm a little hurt, because it's weird to talk on a podcast you've never listened to.
Oh, I've listened to the podcast. I'm familiar.
Okay. Good.
And I think, Connor, you're kind of chomping at the bit to talk
my God,
about what
I'm
you're
dying
playing,
to
so
talk about Tunic.
Let's start
some
with
more.
you. Yeah.
Tunic, if Elden Ring didn't come out this year, Tunic would be Game of the Year this year. No questions asked. So Tunic, for those who don't know, I talked about it a few episodes ago, but I hadn't finished it yet. Tunic is like, you start playing Tunic and you think, oh, this is a shameless Zelda ripoff. It's like an isometric game. You're playing as a cute little fox that looks like Link, and it plays like a Zelda game. And then you play it a little farther and you realize, oh no, this is a shameless Dark Souls knockoff. And
Naughty.
You're still wrong. You play it a little longer, you find out, oh no, this is a shameless Fez knockoff. And that's when you really get into the game. The puzzles get nuts. And it stands tall in all three of those arenas. Like, I talk a lot about games that like beg to be compared to another game and it ends up making them look bad. But Tunic manages to compare itself to like these titans in the gaming space, and it looks good next to them. It's such a good game. Like, the Zelda part of this game is very, very fun. The Dark Souls part of this game is fine. I wouldn't, it's not as good as Dark Souls, certainly, but it's pretty good. And then the deep meta puzzles and stuff are insanely good. I don't know that I've ever... this game made me get out my graph paper notebook, and I had to start taking notes and drawing things in it in the final bit of the game. And I can't remember any game that's ever done that and me not been annoyed by it. I was extremely happy playing this game and having to do that. It was so cool. That is a sentiment I've heard about this game. Like, I sincerely, like, you have to play this game before the Game of the Year episode this year. Like, you have to, because, obviously we've already chosen Elden Ring as Game of the Year, but, for both of us, Ahmed, but you gotta play Tunic. It's on Game Pass, for anybody that has that. It's only on Xbox and PC right now. I don't know if it's coming to PlayStation or Switch. It seems like it would be right at home on Switch.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is one of those timed exclusivity things. I'm sure it's coming to everything eventually.
But it's such a good game. The main gimmick of the game is that one of the things you find everywhere is pages for a manual that looks straight out of like an NES game. Like the beautiful artwork and stuff that used to be in game manuals. But very little of that manual is in English. Most of it is in this fantasy language that is spoken in the game. And 99% of the text in this game is in that fantasy language that is a real language if you can figure out how to read it. But you don't have to translate the language to beat the game. I never did.
Oh, it's like a Tolkien situation?
No, there are secrets that you will not be able to solve without... But yeah, it's like... Yeah, it's a real language that is readable. So I guess, yeah, it's a Tolkien situation. But you don't have to be able to read it to beat the game, or even get the secret ending. But there is apparently an ARG or something locked behind it, but I don't know enough about that yet, because I do think I might go back. I know of at least a few more secrets that I have not found in this game, and I might go back and get them, so I have not, like, looked up how to read the language or looked up a translator or anything, because I might solve that myself. Because that's how into this game I am. It's so stupidly good.
And I don't know, was this their first game?
To my
This
knowledge,
developer?
yeah, I'd never
Yeah.
heard of them. I don't even remember what the developer was. I want to credit them.
Yeah.
That is Andrew Schuldis, the Tunic team. So yeah,
Yeah, that's very impressive.
yeah, largely a solo developer too, but I don't think he actually did it all by himself. I think he had a team, but it was one of those, solo authorial games. Cannot recommend it enough. I would love to wipe my memory and play it with a clean slate again. It doesn't get the Dark Souls combat right necessarily. The combat's pretty good. Also, I will note the combat is very hard, but it has an option. It has a no failure mode because, in my opinion, the puzzles are the interesting part of this game. So if you're somebody who doesn't want to get good, I would just turn on no failure mode and play through this game and ignore the combat, basically. I think that's a perfectly valid way to play it. I just can't gush about it enough.
Yeah, I will certainly play this game soon, I think.
It's like an Inscription level game. Like, Inscription, I think I said, was my game of the year last year. And this is, like, at least on that level.
Yeah.
If not better. I am
That's
so...
crazy.
It just keeps getting deeper. Like, it's darker than it first appears. It has a lot of cool stuff. It has a lot of cool things that are, like, kind of twists, kind of not. It's just a really good game. I think that's all I got. But
all right, yeah, no, your praise is not lost on me. I'll definitely, and it's not like I've heard the same thing from everywhere. Like everyone's gushing about this game. So
yeah. Oh, what I was trying to say, comparing it to Dark Souls, its level design is extremely reminiscent of the first Dark Souls, with its like.
That's just about like as high of a praise as you can give a video game.
That is the highest level design praise, and it is as good. Like, it is better than Dark Souls was ever in any future games. Like, the way the map loops back on itself and makes transportation cool. Notably, this game does not really have fast travel. Like, there are a couple of points you can travel between, but it doesn't have like a bonfire selector, for instance. So that means that they had to do good level design, like the first Dark Souls game, and
right.
They did a really good job of it. It all makes sense. It all is like, oh, that's so cool how that loops back on itself.
That's awesome, man.
It's incredible, and yeah, everybody should play it. I would recommend it to just about anybody.
All right. So why don't we go with Ranga next? Have you been playing anything lately? And if so, do you want to talk about it?
Sure. I haven't been playing a ton of video games recently. Been busy with some career stuff, but I have been playing a little bit of Team Sonic Racing every now and again. It was free on PlayStation Plus a few months back, and it may seem like it's a Mario Kart clone, and maybe it is a Mario Kart clone, and the items are Mario Kart clones. But
so what year did that one come out?
Oh,
I know Team Sonic
question.
Racing, and there's Sonic Racing All Stars Transformed, and I don't know the difference between the two.
So Sonic Racing All Stars Transformed, I believe, is a good bit older. Team Sonic Racing is 2019.
Okay.
I will say Sonic Racing All Stars Racing Transformed, or whatever it's called, that game is really, really good. I think I've played both of these Sonic Racing games, and I think I prefer the older one. Definitely comparable to Mario Kart, in my opinion, but sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Transformed is from like 2012. I don't think I've ever played that one. But it's neat because then you race in a team of 3 and there's like actual team mechanics and incentives and rewards for like staying together with a pack.
That's interesting.
It's like a new dimension beyond what Mario Kart is because it's all individual, right? But you can if you get an item, you can pass it to one of your teammates. And if you pass an item as opposed to just using it yourself, then you do have a chance of like tripling it, right? So if you had a boost item, like a mushroom, right? You pass it to your teammate, they get 3 mushrooms, which is a lot more powerful. So there's a lot of incentives to do the team mechanics. It doesn't feel like a gimmick. And it's also really fast paced and Sonic-y, right? Like Sonic is good at making things go fast when they want to make them go fast.
Yeah.
And it's nice. It's a nice way to clear your head. It's an easy racing game. You can turn your brain off and play. Other than that, I just sort of sit at my desk and AFK on RuneScape. And that's about all I do.
How about the story mode, though?
The story
Is the plot
mode
as riveting as we come to expect?
So the dialogue is all that you could expect and less.
Great.
It's pretty atrocious. The main villain antagonist, not even really an antagonist, he's just sort of the OC for the game, is this weird tanuki named Dodon Pa. And if you're a Dragon Ball fan, you're laughing at that. And it's spelled the same way. And
Yeah.
he just wants people to race. And his motivations aren't really explained very well. Even when they're revealed, they're not really explained very well. But you race around the track, and that's the whole game. And it's interesting enough. There's customizability at the vehicles, which is kind of fun. There's a hard mode and then an expert mode, and it's kind of fun. And like to play on the higher difficulties, you have to act like there is a pretty decent skill ceiling for the game. I will say that. Like you have to actually be really good at the team mechanics, and it's hard to do, especially when you're not playing with a team of like humans, because the AIs you get on your team aren't always great.
Yeah, and I will say, like, playing this game, the skills from Mario Kart obviously are transferable to some extent, but not as much as you'd think.
Yeah.
Like, it feels very different.
Yeah, it's a fun romp.
Fun romp. All right, yeah, I think, let's see. I can go next. I really, truthfully, haven't been playing much. I guess still just Elden Ring just killed gaming for me to an extent, but I have, so last week I mentioned Ghostrunner and Kirby, and that's pretty much the same this week. I did beat Ghostrunner, and what I will say, Mike, I don't know if you beat Ghostrunner, but like that last level can go die in a fire.
I think I got close. I just got burnt out on it.
Yeah, I was severely burnt out by the end, because like I was expecting it to end in like this crazy boss fight, and I definitely would have preferred that, but it ended with this extremely frustrating parkour section that I just wanted to just chuck my PS5 into a fire. Like, man, but I did it, and I beat it. But that's the thing, like, the last section was so frustrating, I feel like it almost soured the experience for me, which is not what you want when you make a game, right? Like, Ghostrunner as a whole was so much fun, the parkour was so much fun, the first-person, like, samurai combat was so much fun, but then, like, the parkour just kind of put a sour taste in my mouth at the end. But, okay, so that's Ghostrunner, and obviously the other game was Kirby and the Forgotten Land, so I'm a good bit farther into this game now. And I've gotten to the point where, like, I guess I wasn't really expecting it, even though it's sort of obvious, but I'm seeing recurring Kirby characters now crop up in this game, like Meta Knight and DDD, and I guess it's sort of obvious that they be here, but it's nice to see how they're integrating into the game. And I'm seeing, like, I think I've unlocked pretty much everything in, like, the Waddle Dee Town, and it really is a nice little, a cute hub with a collection of, like, mini games and activities for you to do if you're not playing, like, the levels themselves. Like, in particular, like, the fishing mini game is really simple, but also, like, really fun. And I think what the point I'm driving to here is, like, this game is a very simple game, but I think it's really elevated by its animations. Like, the presentation of this game is just off the charts. Like, every single... They just nail, like, not only Kirby, but, like, how Kirby interacts with everything in the world, right? Like, the little footsteps as he's walking, little clouds of dust when he's running, and, like, the game only runs at 30 frames per second, but, like, I feel like they're really utilizing every frame. It just feels so alive and constantly in motion. And that's something, like, that's more prevalent to me after playing this game a lot more. And I just wanted to highlight that. Connor, have you played this at all yet?
I had a chance to play any more of it, no.
Okay.
Which is weird for me, but...
But yeah, I'm significantly further in the game now. I'm kind of in the... this isn't really a spoiler, but I guess I'm in the volcano fire sort of area. And I think I'm starting to get to the point where things turn south. Like, at least in terms of, like, not being as cutesy anymore. Right? Like, as we discussed previously, Kirby games take a turn for the insane towards the end.
I've been spoiled on it on purpose, because I don't play a Kirby game for the story, really, you know?
Right. But yeah, I think I'm almost getting to that turning point where everything has suddenly stopped being cute and now it's kind of angry.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, I'm really, really enjoying it. I even did a little bit of the co-op mode, and that was fun, too.
I enjoyed the co-op mode. Even I was Bandana Waddle Dee when I was playing co-op, and he's got a good moveset. Like, he's a fun character to play as.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, his melee combat, it's simple, but like there's different varieties of attacks you can do and stuff like
he's
that.
He's got a lot of moves. He has ranged attack, he has up close attack, he has like a cool like barrage of spears he can do.
And another thing I will say, like, I mentioned previously that I was disappointed in the lack of, like, combining powers. Like, you know, for example, in previous Kirby games, you could combine separate powers.
That's only been in one, I think.
I think Kirby and the Crystal Shards, which is, like, the only other Kirby game I've played. But, I was initially disappointed in that, but then I discovered, right, like, the upgrade system goes way deeper than I previously thought. Like, you can upgrade some powers, like, multiple times.
Yeah.
And that sort of, I think, makes up for the fact that you can't combine powers, because ultimately, if you factor in all the upgrades, there ends up being like way more powers than even in like Crystal Shard, I feel like. So that's really cool, and it's really cool as like how you upgrade your abilities. You see, just Kirby looking cooler and cooler, and just being stronger and stronger. Like, I know you didn't. This is, I guess, a spoiler for the sword copy ability if you care about that sort of thing. But once you get that to tier 3, you basically become Meta Knight.
Nice.
So you get like Meta Knight's sword and his attacks and stuff. So you're attacking like really fast, and you gain all these cool combos and stuff too. So that's really cool in the fact that like the different powers sometimes have different mechanics too. So it's not just all like once you inhale the ability, press B to use it, right? Some abilities have sort of hidden moves, and I think that is really cool. So you can like learn the ins and outs of like the various abilities that you can get in this game as Kirby. But yeah, I've been playing it very casually. Like I maybe play like one level a day, right? Like it's just a very nice like kind of palate cleanser for like when you're just doing whatever. You can just pick up your Switch, play a level of Kirby, and put it down. So I'm not like blasting through it or anything, but I've just sort of been enjoying it very casually that way. But yeah. Other than that, I haven't really been playing anything, and just
Kirby like a filthy casual.
I've been playing Kirby casual AF.
Yeah,
and I guess it's just I hate to keep coming back to it, but it really is just all cool down from Elden Ring, where I just blasted 120 hours into that in like less than 3 weeks. I'm just sort of like,
about Let Me Solo Her on the show.
No, we haven't, and that's
dude's a legend.
So for anyone who doesn't know, there is a co-op aspect to Elden Ring, obviously, and the hardest boss in the game, Melania, is known for just being probably one of the hardest bosses, if not the hardest boss From Software has ever created, right? So this player started appearing. He started laying down his summon sign in front of Melania's boss door, right? And someone summoned him, and it was a totally nude dude with just wearing a jar on his head, wielding 2 swords, and his name was Let Me Solo Her. So he got summoned, and he soloed her, which is, let me add, even
without
more
getting
of a
hit.
Without getting hit, I might add. And let me also add, it's even more impressive because when you're summoned to another world, the boss has more health to account for the summon. And he's posted videos. He
doesn't need them because he doesn't get hit, but you have fewer potions as well.
And you have fewer potions, yeah. But let me just add, the video he posted on YouTube, not only does he not get hit, but there are 2 other people there aside from him. So her health is doubled, essentially, from her base health. Mm-hmm. And he just dismantles this insanely hard boss. And so this obviously was captured on video, and it went viral, and like Reddit exploded with like fan art of this guy, Let Me Solo Her, and IGN interviewed him, and like he became a sort of celebrity like overnight in the Elden Ring community. And it sort of just like got weaved into the lore of Elden Ring itself. So I think that's a really cool thing where like, due to the co-op nature of Elden Ring, like actual lore can be created by the community. It's just another fun aspect of that game.
I think it's extremely likely that he will appear either in a future FromSoft game or
it got
Elden
big
Ring
enough
DLC that he'll be in the game. Like that wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, his videos went really viral. And like people are creating all this like fan art of him, like it's an impressive thing. Like, I can't imagine, like, he consistently beats Melania without taking damage.
Yeah.
Because like if he got hit once, he'd probably die, right? Because he's not wearing any armor or anything.
He has died before.
Yes,
but
I
that's
mean, yeah,
usually
he's not
because of
perfect,
lag.
right? But like the fact that he's mastered that fight to such an extent, right? Like, because like when this game first came out, people were saying that like, okay, Melania's design is almost broken, and that like it's almost unreactable and stuff. And I think this guy just proved all of that wrong. Right, just by virtue of existing, like yeah, it's very, very difficult, but it can be done.
His first try took him 242 tries, though.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
I believe that. Yeah,
Yeah.
he put in the work.
Attained godhood.
He
Yeah,
put
he-
200 hours into just fighting one boss. Over and over
Yeah,
again until he
I
mastered
also
it.
love like the Reddit community just treats him as some sort. They really do treat him like a Giga Chad
Oh,
god
and
type
he
character.
is. He
Yeah,
deserves
yeah. I mean,
it.
he definitely is. Yeah, he deserves that kind of treatment. Like, I can't even imagine
There's never been
doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing to do it yourself, but if helping other people, the boss gets more health, right? And if you're helping two other people, the boss's health is doubled. And like he can do that.
The weird thing is I don't get how he gets summoned. Because I would never summon Let Me Solo Her. Like, or I would never let him solo her because like
Well, he said in interviews, right? Like if people jump in to fight, he doesn't mind, right? Like
Okay,
all
yeah.
sorts of imposters have cropped up and like
I just don't get why you would like let someone beat Millennia for you because you only get to do that fight once and
Well,
once
sometimes
the normal way.
you
I mean,
just
yeah,
have
man, some people
get
just
to
want to
that
get,
point. You just want to get
yeah,
it
some
done.
people just want to take her down at that
I
point.
guess. 'Cause
Yeah.
you don't even get anything that good for it. I don't think. I think you
It's-
get
You
her
get-
swords and stuff.
You get 480,000 souls, which is a lot.
Okay, yeah, that's
But-
actually a lot.
I personally prefer the anti-hero. Let her solo me.
That's,
He
that would
exists.
be me. Yeah.
Oh,
Let her
God.
solo me.
That's awesome.
Just show up and die.
Yeah, that's what he does.
But yeah, shout out to that guy. He's a true legend among us. But yeah, why don't you round us off, Mike?
So, in a complete 360, the game is not about planes, and it is not about submarines. It's squad, so it's about warfare. And let me
Okay, I
tell
mean that
you,
still checks out.
it still checks out. It's like a good Arma, honestly. I really do enjoy playing squad and really getting into probably the most terrifying situations I've ever been into in a game.
Really? So what's
Yeah.
the game like?
It's a modern military shooter. More focused on realism and being immersive than it's still fun. But there's a big focus on immersion. So getting shot is painful, but you can get revived sometimes.
Is it like that? Gosh, I'm trying to remember the name. Like that hyper realistic World War II shooter that came out recently. The super violent one.
Hell Let Loose?
Hell Let Loose. Yeah.
Yeah, I played. It's like a modern Hell Let Loose, but less gore. There's a lot less body parts flying around. I haven't had any moments in Squad where I walk into a building as a medic and watch a chunk of a player fall down in front of me. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, like, I get like capturing the brutality of war and all, but like that's just like
Oh no,
I don't know,
that was
man. Like,
part
it's
of like
kind of
that,
gratuitous.
that was wholly necessary. Like he got hit by an artillery. Like
Yeah.
he didn't just get shot. He got like blitzed, which doesn't happen as much in Squad because there's not a lot of artillery options. Instead, you get the pleasure of being an insurgent and walking around a corner and seeing an Abrams staring you down. Equally terrifying, but in different ways. Like, I can't explain it because I've already explained most of why I like these kinds of games in previous podcasts, but I keep coming back. It's that camaraderie too. It's heavily team oriented, so you actually have to talk to people.
Yeah, I don't
a lot
know.
of
Like, I
fun.
feel like these games that like in opposition to something like Call of Duty or Battlefield, these games that mandate communication
Oh, yeah.
because it's hyper realistic and you die in like a couple bullet shots, like Hell Let Loose and now this game and Rainbow Six and stuff like that. I don't know. Definitely.
They appeal to me more than the common shooter where communication is not necessary and you just kind of run and gun. Because here, sure, you can run and gun, but it's not optimal and you're probably going to get blasted by a tank somewhere.
Plus, I feel like, I don't know, like, obviously trolling would be a concern, but I feel like the kinds of people that would even play these kind of, like, hyper-tactical FPSs probably aren't there to troll. They're probably actually there to play.
Yeah, the fact that it's, like, a niche game gets rid of a lot of the bad actors in a community.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, you'll still have your weird ones, but the community will usually weed those out anyway. Like, I've encountered just a lot of people that are just there to chill and shoot people. Like, that's literally their whole goal. Like, I've had some interesting moments where we're waiting for a game to start. We're just making weird noises. Like, that's it. That's the summary. I've walked up to a car and heard bizarre noises coming out of it. Some dude sniffing. Like, you just get those weird little moments in the middle of a game that is inherently brutal. And that's kind of why I like them. I feel like there's another game. I started playing S.T.A.L.K.E.R. Shadow of Chernobyl. I started playing it on stream, and then I quickly realized this is a game I'm gonna have to play off of stream because I'm gonna want to explore literally everything.
Oh, okay.
And it's gonna be a long one. It's enjoyable. I only played, I think, about 48 minutes of it, and have been just kind of lost. But it's definitely it still kind of holds up, even if it's a game that released in when did it release? 2007. It still holds up. Still very atmospheric. Still very creepy.
So this is another FPS?
Yeah. It's old, but it's neat. Here's thrown in the middle of Ukraine where weird stuff's happening in Chernobyl, and your goal is to just survive. Or not to survive, that's mods, but to, I guess, figure out who you're sent to kill. You spawn with a PDA that says kill S.T.A.L.K.E.R. and you don't know who that is, you don't know where he is, and all you have is a shopkeeper telling you in a very thick accent to help me and I might be able to help you find S.T.A.L.K.E.R.
Sounds like a good premise.
Yeah, and it being weird, there's like these bizarre, inhuman abominations that roam the wastes of Chernobyl. Like, there's a pig that kind of has like a man face, I think, and I don't want to face them. Pig monster scary.
Pig face man.
I can't wait till I get to the actual like human abominations. Gunplay's good. The game can and will hurt you viscerally. Other than that, I don't have much to say about it because I haven't played a lot of it.
Yeah, I do find your comment interesting that you enjoy it so much that you don't want to play it on stream. That's, I think I get that, right? Because like when you're on stream, you kind of have to like, you're doing it not just for yourself, but for other people, right?
Yeah, I have to, on stream, I play games that I can just comment over and not get lost in. Like I think I've now almost 100% at Ace Combat 7. Just on stream. Because I beat my Ace playthrough, and now I have to play through on easy and do all like the side stuff and S rank the entire game.
Right.
But games that I can get lost in, I don't tend to play on stream a lot. Like The Witcher, I didn't play on stream.
Yeah,
I played through all 100 hours of that and still not done with it off stream.
Yeah, I feel like if I ever... I feel the same way. I feel like if I ever streamed a game, it would have to be something that I wouldn't... it would have to be something like I wouldn't want to like sink my teeth into. Something I can just
play automatically.
I like to stream roguelikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I'm
roguelikes
like
are good. Yeah.
consuming gaming content, I really don't like to watch. Well, I do and don't like to watch content where people just kind of root around in the same room for hours.
Yeah.
Like, that's inherently boring, but that's what I like to do in games, so I really can't stream those kinds of games. Because I know it's just boring to watch a guy dig around for every little detail in a room. So I kind of have to avoid that.
Yeah.
I could stream an Elder Scrolls game because inherently I've already done all that rooting around and I know what to do. But on a game I've never played before, no. Can't do it.
Yeah, you wanna savor that for yourself.
Yeah. Now, will I do another playthrough on stream? Probably. Once I understand the game and might mod it, but who knows?
All right, I think that is going to do it for us this week. Thank you all for listening. You can follow us at @PodcastGameTalk on Twitter. Please like, rate, and review us on any podcast service you use, including Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, etc. Click the link in the description of our podcast to join our Discord and talk to us there. Thank you, Connor, Mike, and Ranga for coming on.
Yep. See you guys next week.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. See you next time. Bye.